What's up, guys? What's going on? It's your man's Harry Billion. Welcome to TLP Live at noon. Guys, I have to go ahead and get started with the show. I'm late. Yes, I am. But I have to go ahead and get started. It's got to be a good show. Give me a second. I'm going through a few technical difficulties. Got to fix a few things here and there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got to go ahead and get started with the show. Thank you guys for joining me today on TLP Live at noon. I got a wonderful show for you today. Today we're going to be dealing with a few things. Obviously, we got some information that's come across the wire while I was preparing for the show. While I was coming on, we got some information that's come across the wire. We're going to share that with you. But today I want to talk about Coach Prom's mindset. Yesterday, last night at the national watching the national title game. Let me adjust myself a little bit. Give me a second, guys. I had to move my studio just a little bit, and it's got me looking a little crazy. Okay, so we watched the national title game yesterday, and the idea of watching the national title game was to actually bring on a few of the guests that usually come on the show and have us critique the title game and say, well, could Colorado face any of these opponents, and how will we do? So that was the idea of yesterday's show. It didn't go quite as well, but it didn't go quite as planned. But the discussion came up. We always, I have an idea of the show, what I, in the direction that I want to go in, but you usually want to, like, when you have guests on and the conversation is going a certain direction, you don't want to be the one that's kind of pulling the conversation away from that direction. You want to let it flow like water. You want to kind of go in that direction that the conversation is going, kind of like Cat Williams and Uncle Shannon Sharp. You want to let the conversation go because that's where the natural flow, that's where the natural energy is going. So I kind of let it go. But I feel like something interesting happened at yesterday's show where I get a lot of people saying, realistically, it's not possible. That's not going to happen. And that's what sparked today's show. Today's show is I don't think, like, respectfully, Coach Prom is not thinking what y'all are thinking. I think respectfully, Coach Prom don't care what you think. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Coach Prom's mindset, where he lives at on a daily basis, the type of person that he is and how he carries himself. I want to talk about that. And then obviously we're going to throw in there whatever's happening around the Buffs. Obviously it's a Buff show, right? So anything that's happening around the Buffs, we'll talk about it. But we always have a conversation. So the conversation is going to be about Coach Prom's mindset. And Coach Prom's mindset is not what our mindset is. I want to try my best to articulate that today. And hopefully I'll do a good job. And if you feel some kind of way about my articulation of what Coach Prom's mindset is, I want you to call in and let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Because I don't think we got it right. I don't think anybody knows particularly, but I don't think we got it right. I think a lot of us are trying our best to understand it and kind of like live in the sphere of his mindset, but I don't think we understand it fully. And with the whole idea of being realistic, we're trying our best to say this is what we think, but Coach Prom don't care what you think. You see what I'm saying? Like, Coach Prom doesn't care what you think. So I'll try my best to articulate that today, and then we'll take it from there. And of course, you can call in right at the top of your screen in this area right here. Join TLP Live at gmail.com is the call-in email. I do it that way because I want to be able to control who calls into the show. I want to see who wants to call in first and see if I want to send them a link or not before they call in. I could just post a link, but I don't want to do it that way. So I want to talk about Coach Prime's mindset today. Tomorrow is going to be Waiting Wednesdays. And I chose wading because you know how you wade in the water, like wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the waters. I chose wading because I think it was a movie me and my wife were watching, and I forget the name of the movie, but it's the water character and then there's the fire character, the cartoon. My son was watching it, and then I kind of joined him. And the water character was called Wade. And then my wife reminded me, she said, get it? Wade, like wade in the water. So I was like, oh, I didn't know. So if you guys know the name of that movie, let me know. I forget the name quickly. But yeah, so Wednesdays are going to be Wade Wednesdays. We're going to Wade Wednesdays. And the Wednesdays are going to be like tomorrow we're going to be wading the issues that are surrounding college football. We're going to talk about more issues than we talk about football on Wednesdays. So waiting Wednesdays are going to be those days where we talk about the issues that are surrounding Coach Prime and stuff like that. All right. So hello, how are you? Hope all is well. I'm sorry for being late, guys. I'm seriously sorry for being late. But you know when you're doing a whole lot goes on. I want to remind people that we are one of the best shows on, if not the best show, covering the Buffs. How do I know this? Because a lot of people are talking about us. People are talking about TLP Live. It's interesting. They're playing TLP Live. They're talking about it. We are the subject of conversation in certain circles. And okay, I respect it. But because we're real, also, we're one of the realest shows on the internet talking about Coach Prime. I'm different. I do it differently. I'm your host, Harry B., and I do stuff differently. Sometimes I get spiritual, I get political, and I talk a lot of football. And sometimes I know what I'm doing. Let me say hello to my guests so we can get into the show. All right? Y'all ready? Let's go. Peter Investor, you got to be the first one because you already blessed me monetarily. Man, monetary blessings are awesome, man. I appreciate it because I do this full time, guys. Just so you don't know, in case you don't know, I do it full time. So monetary blessings, I appreciate. I also appreciate the hate a lot more because not a lot more. I appreciate monetary blessings and then the hate because the hate is like you got to watch it, you got to listen carefully, keenly to be able to articulate your hate. So the hate is almost like monetary. Understand what I'm saying? Because you got to pay so much attention, and I appreciate people paying so much attention that they're able to articulate their hate in a way that almost can hurt my feelings. And I appreciate that. I'm starting to learn to appreciate that. And some of my guests are actually like, I'm helping my guests to understand, to appreciate people who don't necessarily have their best interest, but to understand that it's not that important to them. And I'm starting to learn that for my guests as well. So yeah. So Peter Investor, you know I appreciate you. I thank you. You watch the show. You are a supporter. Erica Ransom, thank you. MD Original, mate, MD Gerino. How do you pronounce that, brother? Tim Smith, you were the first one in the building. Dallas is in the building. Is it 9 o'clock in Dallas right now? What time is it? You got 2 hours or 3 hours? You gotta be like, what, 7? Not 7. I'm crazy. If it's not 9, then it's what? Is it 2 hours or 3 hours? I don't know. Chanel Design Creations, what up with you? I feel like a radio station, like one of those radio stations where, like, I get you on your lunch break and we talk until you're like almost time off work. Yeah. DC Carson Music, DC, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Your wisdom is crazy, man. It's just I love that the fact that you're here. I know that there's a time and season for everything, and I've been praying to God. I'm like, man, I know there were people that started with me that are no longer here, but how long am I gonna have DC? How long am I gonna have Willie? I'm like, man, that time, Lord, please don't make that time up anytime soon. Let me just glean some more wisdom. Harold Mitchell, how you doing, man? Hope all is well. Who else is here? Devin Jones. Hey, man, what's going on? Carolina boy, how you doing? Hope all is well. MDJ Original. Okay, MDJ Original. Break that down for us. Unpack that. Excuse me. That bug that everybody talk about is still around, so I'm still dealing with it, but I gotta keep going to show. Alpha Row, what's up with you? Told you another wide receiver. Alpha Row with the financial blessing. You guys are beautiful. Told y'all another wide receiver is coming. Y'all haters, one more is coming. Honestly, Skull Buffs, 17 wide receivers and 11 safeties going to help see you, but big time to get that natty. Alfaro, you on the natty? You on natty watch? Alfaro, man, if you stick around here, man, you might catch that bug. I'm not the bug I got. I'm talking about like people around here where we respectful, we love each other. Well, maybe not love each other. We like each other, and we have good conversations. And when you come around here, man, you might stick around. You know what I'm saying? So be careful, man. Buffs News Weekly, what's up with you? Hope all is well. Y'all ready for my monologue? Oh, you a Natty 24 guy. You might appreciate this monologue, Alfaro. Let me go ahead and start with the monologue, and then we'll sprinkle in what's going on around the bus. I mean, just briefly, we got a wide receiver. We're talking Jim Leonard. Is it Leonard? Leon Hard. Leon Hard. All right. We're talking Jim, okay? That's going to be the DC that's being tapped. I'll pull up his Wikipedia and his coaching stats. He was born in 1983. That boy's young. What is it about these white guys that you get them young and they're such smart coaches and they're like highly touted coaches? He screams Sean Lewis. These white guys when they tap these white guys, man, they get them young and they're like the genius of coaches. Are there any black young white genius coaches? Because man, when these white guys, when they start coaching, boy, they barely have any experience under their belt, but boy, they be geniuses. Are there any black people that want to be DCs and OCs that could be on the genius level? I think I want to go in that direction today. I'm feeling a little spicy. Because I don't want another Sean Lewis situation where we get another genius that has aspirations to be a coach, a head coach, and we're going to rent him for another year. And then under Coach Prime, his stock is going to go up. It's going to shoot up. And then he goes off and do what he wants to do. Am I hiding my black and gold? Let me not hide my black and gold. Come on. My shirt fell down and I had to adjust it. Don't hide the black and gold. I gotta get some more buff stuff in my background, like Big Dog Chico. Big Dog Chico and other people, they got like mad buff stuff in the background. I gotta get my buff on, man. I gotta get buffed up. Buffed Up TV, what up with you? Hey guys, I want to be friendly. with a lot of with some creators, but creators are not friendly. They're like comedians. They're too daggone competitive. And like I want to comment more on creator stuff, but I want to tell the truth sometimes. But creators are kind of like comedians nowadays. They're like Cat Williams. They're kind of like sensitive. Y'all ready? Here we go. Coach Prime don't care what you think. Coach Prime wants to win, and he wants to win now. And he doesn't care what you think. Your thinking did not get him here, and your thinking is not going to keep him here. I believe Coach Prime wants to win a natty like Alfaro believes he wants to win a natty. And I think he can. And give me a moment. Let me have your ear so that I can tell you why. Coach Prime is not a normal person. And I'm glad that he's on my team. When I say my team, I mean I'm glad that he's black. Because for some odd reason, our thinking in the black community is skewed sometimes. Sometimes it's a little limited. And the reason why it's limited is because the level of high thinking that you need to succeed, it comes with, you know how people have vision boards? Vision board, the idea of a vision board is in order for you to get somewhere, you need to be able to visualize yourself in that position. You need to be able to see yourself doing it. Because the idea of what you believe, it has to be crystallized. This comes from the book from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So your idea is simply an idea until it gets into your subconscious and then it's crystallized. Once it's crystallized, then it's almost it becomes part of you. So it's hard for us in our community because you need examples. You need to be able to visualize it to the point where you see it and you become it before it happens or before you become it. Does that make sense? You need to become it before you become it. So it's hard for a lot of us because we don't have too many examples. The Bible says the rich grow richer, the poor get poor. And I take a little bit of that, and I've realized that some of the testimonies that have been in my brain about that is because oftentimes the poor don't have the example of where they're trying to go. They can't really see it to become it. So they revert back to their old way of thinking. They revert back to thinking poor. Because you cannot get out of poverty by thinking poverty. I'm going to take my time to articulate this. And follow me, please. For those of you who's already checked out, I understand. But I know that people that want to stick around, they're going to stick around. But follow me. And let me remind you why I'm talking the way I'm talking. Because I think Coach Prime Coach Prime wants to win right now. He believes he's going to win right now. And he doesn't care what you think about that. And all of your statistics. Coach Prime don't care about that. He's beyond your thinking. Your 4 years, your 3 years, your proclamations of this is reality type of thing. All right? So let's go back to what I was saying. Oftentimes, poor people cannot achieve or go beyond their scope, beyond their current situation, because it takes believing, and not just believing, but it takes a strong desire to do something, and that desire turning into that burning desire being crystallized in your subconscious and it becoming a part of your daily routine. That's how you are able to achieve greater things than you could achieve in your own ability. That type of thinking goes beyond your normal day, your normal everyday type of thinking. So do me a favor, guys, and hit that like button, because I feel like there are some people that may need to hear what I'm saying. So hit the like button, that little plus button, then the video goes out to more people. Somebody needs to hear what I'm saying. So in our community, it's harder for us because for us, I don't know if how many of you, not all of us, let me make this very clear. Not all of us, but there's a lot of us where we grew up in project homes, and we remember mom putting a lot of things back when we got to the groceries, when we got to the cashier. And we have desires to achieve at a greater height or at a greater level. But for a lot of us, I'm not saying all of us, don't get me wrong. For a lot of us, we don't have tangible examples that we can crystallize in our subconscious of success. So it's hard for us, very hard for us. And we often use the terminology crabs in a barrel to explain a poverty mentality. Because if you don't have much and I don't have much, my perception of you having much or even dreaming that you can have much creates this thing of resentment inside of me. And it says, and then my natural response to you is going to be, you can't achieve that because it's something that I cannot achieve, and I don't have any examples inside of my brain or inside of myself that can get me out of the way to believe for you. So it looks like a crab, like me grabbing at you and saying, you can't do, you can't do. Give me time. I'm going to articulate this. Oftentimes, these are not scripted things that I'll be saying. It's just me speaking. So it's hard for us to actually get into the space or the mindset or the thinking of somebody who wants to do something impossible. So we revert back to our normal style of thinking. Well, I haven't seen it. That's impossible. So then my thinking of you is that you're crazy for even thinking that, because it's impossible, because I haven't seen it before. But I submit to you that Coach Prime don't care about your style of thinking, because your style of thinking is not equal to where he has come and how far he has gotten. I also submit to you that it probably didn't start off this way, but this is where it's at right now because of practice. I'll tell you one thing. It's not easy. From the time where you declare that you're going to do something, and the process of believing, making it crystallize, and then it happening, there is a zone, there's an in-between period that will crush the strongest person. It's a very hard process. It can take weeks, it can take minutes, weeks, months, years. That in-between process is a valley process that can crush people. When I say crush people, it can crush people. It can crush dreams. So it's not an easy thing. It's not as simple as December to January, you take either doing apps or taking a board because you saw something on TikTok or YouTube or social media that said create a vision board and just repeat the things, and then it's going to happen. It's not that easy. That's not what this is. So it takes time to build this muscle. of believing for something, repeating it. First, no, let's start over. Having a burning desire for something, believing it's going to happen, and then putting in the process that it takes for you to start believing it. So you create your vision board in December, somewhere around January the 15th to about February. 70 something percent of those people are already not believing. It's already done. It's not going to happen. Okay? Because it takes time. What we think, we put up the vision board. If we want a new car, we put up a Tesla. Let's say whatever. Pick your favorite car. Insert your favorite car. You start looking at the car. You start telling yourself, "I can do this. I'm going to get this car. I'm going to get this car." And some experts would say, some some philosophers would say, put a date to it so it happened. For me, is one. I'll tell you a couple of mine. Starting having a cartoon company that'll rival Disney for African cartoons. We have some of the richest history in the world, and imagine having cartoons that, or having a company like Disney that is focused entirely on Africa, right? That can rival Disney. So you need the vision is clear, it's already written, and Harry B having a company like that, telling African stories, African superheroes, creating those companies, creating those characters, and telling stories about Africa and African characters. That's one of the visions. So it ain't gonna happen just like that. So then we come back to Coach Prime. Coach Prime says, "I want to win. I'm going to win, and I'm going to win now." We start having a discussion. A lot of people will come on and say, "It's not realistic. It's not realistic," and they are right, because whether you think you can win or whether you don't think you can win, both of those are right. But I want to make one thing clear. We are not Deion Sanders. We are not Coach Prime. A lot of us try to articulate what he's trying to say and do, and we have arguments. We battle up and down, and we say, "You're crazy. How you think he's going to do this? How is this going to work?" We're arguing something we don't understand. It's a moot point, because it's not up to us to believe it. It's up to him to believe it. Like, totally. So we can talk about the realities of winning a national championship or putting a product on the field that can play a Michigan or a Washington. We can talk about those realities. But the mistake that we would make is to start projecting our disbelief on Prime. Now, my show's a data show. Everything that I say, or for the most part, the things that I like to cover, I want it to be based in some type of data. So this conversation is not necessarily a data show. It's more so in trying to get you to understand Coach Prime's mindset, who he is, how he thinks, how he's gotten here. He did not get here with me and my limited thinking. It took him years to understand how he moves, the things he needs to do in order to get to where he needed to get to before he became Prime. So it started with, let's start Prime, and then Prime gets the first million, and then the first million, you got to believe for the next one. Did it all happen overnight? Absolutely not. But that's the whole process. This faith walk, this idea of believing, you built it up incrementally. It takes time. Little by little, you get a small win. 11,000. I mean, you got your 5,000 subscribers. Then you get to 10,000 subscribers, and and if you look at my phone, if you can see 100,000 subscribers on my phone, it takes time. There's going to be some dead periods. There's going to be some periods of fast exponential growth. What must happen to you is your consistent patience and believing the process. That must happen, or you're going to be like those people who in January the 15th to be done. By February, you will not see that vision board anymore. They're no longer looking at the vision board. It's hanging up somewhere collecting dust in their house. If it's an app, it's probably now on page 3. It started off on page number 1, but now it's probably on page 2 or page 3. And they never open it up again. The vision board, they'll pass it every morning because they put it somewhere where they can visually see it every day. But in their brain, it hasn't come fast enough. So now it's just something they're just passing every morning, ritualistically. That's it. So now it's no effect anymore. All right? Like your Bible app, right? It's on there because mentally you're like something's forcing me to have this Bible app on page number 1 because why not, right? When I need to do my devotion, it's right here. And you're scared to move that Bible app to page 2 because it'll feel like a sin. And the Bible app is not scriptural. The Bible app is not anything. It's just an app. But in your brain, you're tricking yourself thinking that if I keep it here, then it holds me accountable and it makes me feel like I'm going to open it one day and read it. It's a process. God's not mad at you. God is the most patient person in the universe. God is the most patient spirit. He's not going to be whooping you up and down. He's just going to keep waiting for you to move. He's going to be right there waiting for you to move. But let me go back to Deion Sanders. So that's where we at with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is now at a level where he believes certain things that most people are not capable of believing. And for him, it's okay. That's why he has made it a point to make sure that he does not listen to people. Like he said, he doesn't give his remote to us where we can turn him up and down. The fan only blows when it's hot. All right? The fan only blows when you're hot. So he understands the process. He knows that he still got to believe at that level, but it's that in between when I had that burning desire to where I'm finally going to get there. Some are saying football takes 3 years. Some are saying 4 to 5 years. So he started with the burning desire of getting a natty, turning Colorado around. Burning desire. Natty. At any moment, he could get it. It could have been this year. It could have been 2024 for the 2023 season. For those of you who are new to football, the championship is played in the following year. So for 2023, it could have been this year. It could have been. You don't know. You just seeing the obstacles. Michigan, let's just get them out the way. Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama. That's all you see. It could have been this year. But now it's 2024, so it could be 2025. That's how he's believing. So we can prognosticate or proclamate the realities of getting there, but is that where he's at? No, and he doesn't care. But for you to get upset with me and say you're the problem for, like, one of the coaches, Coach K or somebody came on the show telling me, screaming at me, for you to say that this is going to happen, you are part of the problem. You are delusional and you are misleading these people and you are blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand. Because for me, I do one of two things. I give the information and then I say, okay, now let's work it backwards. If I want to be here, let me work it backwards. Or let me work it backwards and see how do I get there. That's what I do on my show. So I don't claim to believe like Dion or Coach Prime. I don't claim that. But I understand it. I understand where he's at and where he wants to go. Now, I can either believe with him and stand with him, or I can just get out of the way. So what do? Somebody who runs a YouTube channel full-time. What do? I lead a group discussion every day, like TLP Live. I'm leading a group discussion. We come on here and we give our viewpoints on the different aspects of the team or whatever is going on. And in a short moment, I'm going to bring on a few guests who are going to give their viewpoints based on what I'm saying. But I want to caution everybody, regardless of what you saw last night on the field, Michigan's defense was crazy. Their running game, OMG. Straight up OMG. So you saw how great their defense was. And you saw how much they ran the ball. And then Warren Sapp tweeting and be like, yo, y'all better get some gap protection or y'all better get some understanding of the gap. All of those things are the obstacles that are going to be in our way, are the things that we see. And we're going to say, wow, it looks impossible for Colorado because they lack discipline oftentimes on the field. Coach Prime is new. We called him an amateur last night. He just started. He's still an amateur. All right. All of the things that we can name to say that it's not possible, we've done. But is it possible? Yes. And I'm not just saying because all things are possible in a delusional thing, right? It's not because all things are possible. I feel like he believes it. I feel like Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, believes it. And the fact that he believes it, I think it could happen. Because that's what we can stand on. Like, for somebody who has such, like, have you ever followed somebody, like, okay, if you look back in time, something we were all going through, we just needed somebody to believe. And that person believed, and it happened. So the fact that he believes it, I think it could happen. I think it can happen. And I want to be blessed. I want to be a fly on this wall when it happens. I want to be right there saying, wow, it's possible. Wow. I want to be one of those ones that say, wow, I knew it. I knew he could do it. Man, I knew it. I knew he could do it. I want to believe with him. It's hard for me because I'm in the community where I don't have too many examples. I've never seen it before. I'm hopeful. I want it to happen so badly, just so that I can have that example. Because once I get that example, now the African Disney company, the possibilities that goes up one notch. Because now I have an example, and it'll help me to believe for that Disney African company. I started off by saying we don't have too many examples in our communities, and we don't have enough examples to make our thing come through. So I'm believing for Coach Prime, believing for himself. Does that make sense? I'm believing for Coach Prime for what he's believing on. Because I need an example for something bigger than myself, for something that's so big that I don't understand. I need it to happen just for me personally, for selfish reasons. I need more examples of impossibles happening. Impossibles that I had something to do with. Impossibles that I was a part of. Impossibles that I can say I was right there. I was a part of the conversation and it happened. Something that impossible. Not to read it in a book, but to say I was part of it. That kind of impossible to happen in my lifetime, so that my African Dream cartoon company or Disney company, my African Disney company, can happen. Does that make sense? All right. All right, panel, let's go. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. Let me go ahead and get the invitations, guys. Give me a moment. I see you guys in the email. The email is right here to call in. Join TLP live at gmail.com. Join TLP live at gmail.com. So that's the email. I think Coach Prime is going to do it. I'm telling you. I think he's going to do it sooner than a lot of people think. And he's doing a lot to make sure that happens. To get a Jim Leonard, to get a Warren Sapp, to surround himself with greatness. I don't think anybody moves this way to say, I believe what everybody's saying is going to be 4 to 7 years. I don't think that's what Coach Prime is doing. So I believe Coach Prime believes what he's thinking. He's not looking for anybody's what's the word? Why did I forget the word so fast? Approval. Coach Prime doesn't need anybody's approval, because imagine Coach Prime asking you, hey, listen, you think I can be a Prime? Because listen, I want to create this character, right? I want to create this persona because I'm really good. And but the DBs in the NFL are not paid that much. You think I can make a couple of millions? You think I should go ahead and start this Prime thing? You think it's going to work? Imagine telling that to somebody at the time that really understood how much DBs get paid. Somebody that really understood the financial happenings of the NFL, has been a part of that history for a long time, but they didn't really understand the idea of believing. They understand the NFL. They know football very well. I'm saying this for a reason. They know football more than anyone that knows football. They've probably played it from Pee Wee all the way down to the NFL. Imagine that person knowing football that well. But then you share with them a dream or you're sharing with them an idea that is outside of their knowledge group. On one hand, they know football. On the other hand, they know crap about believing. Very well knowledgeable about football, crap about believing. You share it with them. So here you are, you're clashing with this person who is a gold diamond jacket. They have all the knowledge of football, but they have no knowledge of believing. Or the little bit of knowledge that they have is not sufficient for you to pour into them what it is you're trying to do, because they don't operate in this realm. So what type of advice you think that person would give a prime with all of the knowledge of football and finance, but not one drop of understanding the other realm? They'll probably say, I mean, that's a good idea, bro, but you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, just play the game, man. If you're good, eventually you're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Just do your thing, man. You know, you're already the man. You know, do your thing. Forget that prime stuff. What's prime? Prime? What is prime? What the heck is prime? So that person is not here now. They're back there. So think about it. They're not here to see all of the stuff, the $113 million that was brought into Boulder. They didn't see all of the years at JSU where you changed a whole program that nobody knew about. You made them relevant. They're not seeing all of the, they don't know much about that. They know probably that you could probably get a gold jacket, but they don't know all of the extra stuff that's going to happen years later. They're here. So you sharing with them here, over here, not over here, not over here at CU. They're still over here. So when you're sharing that with them, you got to be very careful, because while they have a knowledge of football gurus, they don't have a drop of understanding believing. Football gurus, see what I'm doing there? A lot of football gurus, they've been around college football forever. They play the game. They're suited up. Their cousins is a third cousin removed from a fifth NBA star who played football. But the lack of lot of understanding about believing. This is delusional talk, because it's supposed to be delusional. If you're not ready, you're not ready. But because you're not ready doesn't mean that it's wrong. If you call it delusional, you're right. Because it is. You call it crazy, it is. You're right again, because it is. But a smart man once says it's only crazy until it happens. It's only delusional until it's proven. I'm gonna invite on I see you other guys. I'm gonna bring on Coach Lowry, and I'm gonna bring on let's see here. Let me bring on DC. I'll bring you guys on at different times if you have some time. Let me bring on those two for now. Let's talk. Let's have a talk real quick. I'll bring everybody's coming on, but just give me some time. Let me because this is a sensitive topic. It's a sensitive topic. I don't want to have too many opinions, and then we kind of get off topic. So let me bring on a few people at a time. That way, we can minimize the jousting, if you may. But I'm resolute in the sense that it's a difference. It's a different realm, and we gotta understand. Now, this conversation seemed like Waiting Wednesday, which is tomorrow, which but it's relevant to what transpired in yesterday's in last night's conversation. We did two shows yesterday. We did the live noon show, like just like now. It's only gonna be 2 hours, guys. So we gotta get it going. It's almost 1 o'clock already. And then 2 o'clock we out of here. But last night's show opened my eyes. And opened my eyes to some things where I'm looking at it in retrospect, and I'm looking at it, I'm stepping outside of the conversation, and I'm like, wait a minute. It was like I was trying to defend Coach Prime, his crazy thinking. Like I'm trying to defend his crazy thinking. And I'm like, yo, I don't want the devil to attack me. I don't want to say I want to be crazy, but I want my crazy thinking to be like Coach Prime's crazy thinking. And the only reason why I'm using the terminology crazy thinking is because our limited processing mind, or the idea, because we don't have examples, we call something crazy until it happens. And then we try to move the needle or try to move the conversation in a different direction so that we can feel better again about why we felt the way that we felt. Because it's never going to be enough. We don't like to be proven wrong. We don't ever want to be wrong. So instead of saying, oh, shoot, he did it. Oh, nah, I'm believing now. Oh, nah, I'm going to believe now. We don't ever do that. What we do is we try to change the nature of it. We try to skirt around it, come at a different angle, so we can keep our position. DC Carson, what's up, man? Oh, DC had to check out real quick. Gentlemen, come back on when you're ready. All right, so let me bring in another guest. I'm sending another link. DC, you there?
I'm here, bro. Something just weird happened, but yeah, I'm here. How's everybody doing today?
It's just me and you right now. Coach Mike Lowry came on, but I think he had to check out. Something was going on with his connection. All right, so something happened again. I think it's some weird. It must be something spiritual is happening. Ooh-wee. That energy is mad. That energy is crazy. I'm telling you. If you're not ready to come on, don't come on, because that energy is crazy right now. DC, what's up?
I'm ready. What's going on, bro?
Hey, man, that energy wants no part of this. That energy doesn't want anybody
Oh,
to hear
God,
this
it does not.
conversation. I'm telling you, man.
No, it does not.
It does not want any part of this. See? You see, it keeps happening. He's gone again. You see what I'm saying? Something's about to happen. Keep listening, keep watching. That crazy energy wants to ruin this, but it's not going to be ruined. I promise you. Let's try this again, DC.
Yeah, man, that thing is just kicking me off. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Bro, I'm telling you, man. It's time to let's free some people if we can.
Okay, let's do it.
Do you want to open up with some thoughts that you have from what you heard me say, or should we just have a conversation?
So I'll say, just start off is that I don't think Coach Prime can afford to be concerned about what we think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're a trailblazer and you're doing something that's different in the manner that nobody's done it, you've got to be careful to not allow someone else's doubt to slow down your momentum. So he's doing it, but I do also think it's that there is you and remember how, and I also say something else before we get into the conversation. Like You and I talked about on the show about like in our community, one of the things I realized how I went in rank was that our community suffers from strategic planning and
Mm-hmm.
strategic thinking. Not saying it isn't there, but there's not enough of it.
Mm.
So, and then I think also we want our results. Like a lot of people want to. It's some things aren't going to be instant. Like for example, you know, you're not going to lose 20 pounds in 2 days.
Mm.
If you do it, you're doing it the unhealthy way, and then it becomes unsustainable because you jack your body up. So let's
Mm.
jump on into the conversation about that and what he's doing and whatever else where you want to go, brother.
After our conversation last night, I got to thinking, and when I brought up the idea of Coach Prime wanting to win right now, I was kind of alone on the island thinking, am I crazy? Like, not I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I crazy, or did Coach Prime say he want to win right now? And I feel like this panel is not understanding like that's where he wants to be. So I started thinking when the show was over, I started thinking, and I was thinking, I was like, well, wait a minute, no, he does want to win right now. But the idea of Coach Prime wanting to win right now is based on his belief system, because Coach Prime played the game. Coach Prime understands the game probably more so than anybody else, and he feels as if he gets a certain amount of pieces, he can do the rest. That's where my thinking went. That whatever is not there, he can fill in the gap. What do you think about that?
Well, I was first start by saying just because someone makes a what I call a mission statement, and businesses have that, like Disney has a mission statement, Amazon, all of them have a mission statement, and maybe something is short, concise, to the point. Let's say Amazon is to be the premier provider of products and services globally, and Disney over the primary entertainment, whatever it is. Well, saying I want to dominate is a phenomenal mission statement, but there isn't a timeline necessarily attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
That statement now feeds how you plan on the tactical and the it's so in different levels. Like you have that. I'm trying to think about it. There is that there's three different. There's a less than a year. Your 1 to 3 years, and your 3 to 5 is your strategic stuff. So now he's got to plug all the places in there. Last night Griffin talked about like strength and training, conditioning. That's a key element to be able to dominate. Good position coaches, key element to dominate. Prime Coach Sanders was an awesome player, but he also has to develop as a leader, because there's one thing in like John Maxwell's book where it talks about like you can only lead an organization as to your level of leadership. So on the level of 1 to 10, if you are a 5, you can't make people 6s and above. You're going to cap out at 5. So
Mm-hmm.
Coach Prime is also having to develop himself to be able to do that. And I don't think we're giving him enough time, because sometimes you can get stuck at a level and then look at who's developing pride in order, because that's something. Self-development is good, but you also do have to have key people in areas, and it seems like he does, that will speak life into him, and maybe he can bounce ideas off of.
Okay, so the idea of mission statement, the idea of having goals and plans, I think the conversation goes beyond that for me, because I think it goes beyond mission statement, and it goes beyond those things where people, I feel like, people use certain things to say how it's going to go. But we already know how prepared a Prime goes, how much preparation he puts into um his um his dominance. Like, he's not one to where okay, I think I made a video, or I spoke on the fact that Prime, he gets most of his confidence in his level of preparation. So I don't know that there's anybody that I can count on, or even count on my hands, that can prepare puts as much into preparation than Prime. So I know that's there because that's where he hangs his hat on. He talks to the kids about preparation. He says, "We're not going to play you if you don't prepare." He knows that the way that he moves and the way that he talks and the way that he communicates, it's more so than a lot of other people who lean on the terminology humility for the sake of not wanting to put themselves too far out there for judgment. And all of that comes from how well he prepares. So I know that his preparation, his planning to dominate, I know it is already there. But it goes beyond that for me because I feel like for Coach Prime, he's like, I know what DC just said, but I'm taking it one step forward and I'm saying, because I have prepared, I'm going to win right now. Right now. Not later, right now. What do you think?
So I can want to, but now we start getting into those other areas that where we talk about reality, a realistic timeline is there. So like when you set a plan, it
So
must
this is
be
not a
suitable.
realistic. I'm just gonna. I'm just. Let me just clear the air right now.
Right.
We're gonna go into a place where we're gonna sound crazy, and it's not necessarily based in reality as we know it. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying? So that's
Hmm.
where the conversation is going to go. I'm prepared to go there
Okay.
because when you talk about belief, when you talk about the unknown, there's no way to quantify that. You see what I'm saying? So it's in a realm. The conversation goes into a realm because I want to talk about Coach Prime's mindset, not necessarily reality of football X, Y, and Z. We can correlate it, but I don't know that we should be afraid. I don't think we should be afraid to let it go there.
All right. So like for example, just kind of looking and again, not getting into the negative comments, but just the flow of the show is that I can have a belief in myself and my capabilities and my ability to perform something. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. You need to have it because if you can't believe it, you're not going to get there. You won't put the effort in. But when you start looking at, okay, so I want to win now. If we're saying I want to win now, I don't have a problem with that. Say, hey, I absolutely want to go in 2024. I want that is the goal for me to do it. And as a leader and as over an organization, that's not a problem
Mhm.
necessarily to say that. But so then how do you motivate everybody to have complete buy-in? Because you are going to have some people who say, man, that first game you get hit in the mouth, you might not necessarily have. It might change some things.
Mhm.
So if we're going to go with the well, hey, I can get out there and we're just going to go in, we're going to dominate. We might lose a game or two, but we're going in, we're going always to the national championship. I don't have a problem with somebody saying that. But I would sit back and say to you is that again, if you want to make a cake and you've got vanilla extract, flour, all that good stuff, but you don't have enough eggs, there comes a point where you have to realize that the reality is that I don't get those eggs, then my cake is probably not going to be exactly what I want it to be.
All right, so DC, you are a military man. I'm glad I'm having this conversation with somebody who's military. I liken military to more so with science than belief or religion, because when you're dealing with lives and you're dealing with um situations that can cost your life, you need precise measurements, precise coordinates, and you need to know for sure that something is something before you make that move.
Right.
Okay. Now, with that being in mind, Has there been any time in the history of the military where everything was as precise, everything was regular, ready to go, and the mission was not necessarily won on that precision, but was won on somebody's belief?
You do have like what this called a will to fight. You do
Mm-hmm.
have that in there. So
Okay.
that's a thing. The will to fight. You always look at your enemy's will to fight, and you look at your own will to fight. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's sometimes your will to fight can overcome, obstacles. Let's say, for example, if you have a basic combat load of how many rounds, and let's say it's 300. I don't forget exactly how much it is, but let's say I'm down to 20. Well, if I'm looking at 20, I can decide, crap, man, I'm not gonna make it because average, hit ratio is out of every shot fired, you only hit 33%. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm looking at 15 people, it's probably not gonna work. But then you have what's called improvise. You have to adapt and overcome. We use that statement. So that's what I think will does, the will to fight. And that definitely is a key attribute of a positive attribute of Coach Prime. Is his
Mm-hmm.
will to fight is phenomenal. Even when he was out there trying to cover like Randy Moss with a pulled hamstring, that says a lot.
So, that will to fight, does the military hang? What percentage, if any, how much do y'all talk about the will as opposed? Well, yeah, how much do y'all talk about the will with while you're talking about strategy? Like, how much is that? Is there any point where you guys are like, all right, so guys, listen, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to go beyond what we're teaching you, and you're going to have to impose something else. How much time, how much effort does the military put on that, if any at all?
Well, I mean, you're looking at it where you're really military has to try to have a fixed fight. Basically, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. We want three people to your one, so it's a fixed fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get to a point where you're like one to, and you have this thing called, and this can apply to what we're looking at as far as other teams. There's what you call um, peer peer enemies, like that's a nation that's just on the same to you. There's near peer where they're close enough, and then there are those that are not. They can be, you know, let's say a terrorist organization or something like that, which we're bigger, but our bigness, our size slows down our ability to maneuver and communicate, whereas they're quicker, they're smaller, so they're faster. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
looking, so I would say with a place like Colorado, they look probably like they're trying to build something that say, hey, I might not can fight you the way that I normally would if I had a stock covered just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
But they're looking at things. That's why I think they are doing a lot of offensive weaponry because they're looking to air raid you and in hopes that they have a defense that bends but doesn't break.
So, and I'm sure you already know the reasons why I'm having this line of questioning, and it's because it pretty much aligns with an organization, a military organization that's been there for many years, and they use different techniques, different tricks to try to get the enemy and stuff like that. So we all know that the percentage of preparation and understanding your enemy, understanding your weaponry, knowing your weapon, and all of these things is high level. Like, it's on a high for you guys. Where if you're not prepared, you know what I'm saying. If you're not prepared, then it's like it's least likely that your leader is gonna put you in the line of battle because he knows that you're not prepared. So if you were somebody that was playing around or you didn't know how to unravel or unassemble your gun or your weapon or whatever, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna say, okay, let's keep practicing you. Well, let's keep getting you prepared until you're ready. But somewhere in there, the people that are prepared and that are ready and everything, they rely on something other than just that preparation. So Coach Prime, he's like the military guy but then he has that other thing as well. Now, let me bring on Tim and Coach Lowry. I see you guys. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to get the communication in a row. MDJ Original. MDJ, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in, man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing, man? Appreciate what you're doing too, man. You giving the other side of other commentators, right? So the human perspective. Um, so what I think Coach Prime is doing, like he's a guy who played at a high level, and he knows the X's and O's. Most guys who play at a high level, most of them don't want to coach, right? Or don't want to put back into coaching. He's one of those guys at a high level, and he knows the X's and O's. Once those two come together and they merge eventually, and then he finds other guys who are just X's and O's guys who didn't play at a high level, but they're book knowledge guys, right? Mm-hmm. So you put that together with somebody who played the game, who knows the X's and O's, somebody who studied the game, who didn't really play on the field, but knows the X's and O's, the books. And I think they're going to figure it out. And then once he gets those players, those big boys that can protect his quarterback, and some defensive line guys, they're going to put it together.
I've been talking about Coach Prime doesn't care what we think, and my conversation with DC today to last night with the panel member last night, we have this idea. we think about this idea of Coach Prime saying that he wants to win right now in terms of reality. Right? We try to wrap it in a realistic bubble. Like, hey, Coach Prime, we know you want to win right now, but you like X, Y, and Z. And we oftentimes on this show, we talk about the X, Y, and Z. What are the pieces that are going to be the X, Y, and Z? But right now, I'm talking about that X factor, the factor where the X, Y, and Z may not be up to full strength, but yet it's the X factor that's going to fill in the blank. Do you think that Coach Prime is believing on a different level about that X factor, knowing that he's also one of the most prepared people in this game?
Well, first of all, look who you're talking about. Everything baseball, even basketball. They say he was the top guy in basketball. Mm-hmm. Baseball, football, anything that he touches and put his mind to, he works at, he prepares for, right? I'm 51 years old. I grew up watching Prime, right? So everybody wanted to be like Prime, playing two sports, right? If you play sports and the work ethic, nobody's going to beat his work ethic, right? Prepared every day. So that's the X factor. You got guys who can play the game, study the game, right? They don't get out there and do the little things, right? They don't, outside of the gridiron, the field, they doing extra stuff. They're watching film. You got a lot of kids who play the game but never watch the game at home. I got a son who plays basketball, right? I mean, he's not that good, but they don't sit down and watch the game when his NBA games on or college games on. We grew up watching every Saturday, or if it was Friday games or whatever, you was watching games, other teams play, other schools, right? So kids don't do that, right? Prime comes from that era where it's all about you put in the preparation, you put in the work outside or off the field, right? And that's what these guys, and I think that's what he was doing with a couple of his players this year in the season. They wasn't putting in the film work. They potential good players, highly drafted, coming in ranked, and can get it together on the field. But it's the little things. It's that in between the X's and O's. Then I think Prime brings all of that with him, right? Coach Prime, he's that guy, right? So you can't count him out, right? And once he gets the players and he gets those big boys, those big boys coming in, he got the specialty players, right? Now he's looking for those guys to protect his quarterback and those guys on defense who want to come in and hunt, right? And once that comes together, and they did pretty. People don't consider that they won one game last year, right? And the buzz around Colorado. I live here in Atlanta, right? I'm officially licensed to do the Letterman jackets through the school, and it's different merch. And I've been up there to see it, man. And nobody was thinking about Colorado before he got there. When the last time you talked about going to see a Colorado game or even watch a game on TV? So that his whole impact, that's an X factor right there. That what brought, you got people who don't even watch football, doesn't, that are on the bandwagon, and that brings revenue. And that's what football is all about for college. Merchandise,
Harry,
notoriety to their school.
What you said, DC?
I'm sorry for interrupting my brother, and welcome, brother. That's some solid points, great perspectives. Perspectives. I think that also that kind of hurts the conversation. It helps, but then it hurts the conversation, like the new fans, because they're looking at it and they're looking straight at the team and not necessarily looking, at the other the environment, the other factors in there. I think Coach Sanders is great, but I think the people that are, like, for example, Sam said last night that Colorado was her first team. The thing is, going back to those military terms, you still have to understand you have an enemy out there, and they have a vote. They can scheme, they can come up with things. And I've been having a conversation in the chat where it's like Colorado, the end of, like, there was the art of war, and there was like the element of surprise, which is a great tactical advantage to have. But after the third game, they didn't have that, and I don't think they will have that going into next year. People know that they're going to be a formidable opponent. So you got to respect that in there, but that still does not change that Coach Prime's belief in all the players. Here's the thing I would say, folks, is that there was one time I had a command position where I had like 1,200 soldiers, which is a lot. And when you're commanding 1,200 people, and most of them were going into basic training or some form of initial training before they came out and went to their duty assignment. The thing that you had to have not so much was them to be physically fit and ready. We had to have them mentally ready to be able to continue to drive when stuff happens, continue to keep going. And that's the main thing as a leader. The coach will be finding X's and O's, raising money, all that good stuff. But what's going to have to happen is, will he get complete buy-in from his team and the coaching staff, as well as the support staff? Because I use the phrase, the people in the rear with the gear, they count too towards what you can do.
All right, so let me bring on Coach Mike Lowry. Give me 1 second, MDJ. Give me 1 second. Coach Mike Lowry, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in today. I think Coach MJD, I think your mic is paused, is muted. We can't hear you. You're talking, but we can't hear you. Coach Mike Lowry, can you hear me?
Yo.
Hold on 1 second, okay? Because I think MDJ original is talking, but I think he doesn't know that we can't hear him. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Hello. We can't hear you. He's talking, but we can't hear him. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. We can't hear you. MDJ, we can't hear you. We cannot hear you. Okay, I don't know if he's hearing us, but can you see us, MDJ? We can't hear you. Can you hear us? MDJ, can you hear us?
You can't hear us.
We cannot hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, the whole time we cannot hear you. You're talking, but we can't hear you. So you might have to come out and come back in, or unmute yourself, but we can't hear you. But anyways, go ahead, Coach Lowry. How you doing, man?
Blessings, brother. Blessings, man.
Do you want to make a statement before we get going, or you want to just jump in here?
Yeah, I like what, I'm always on tune with Mr. Carson. I love what he be talking about. When you go down to strategy and understanding weaponry, you have to know how to use your running backs. As we seen on Championship Monday, they had two running backs that, looked good. You looked at their legs, their hamstrings, and their quadriceps, and their arms, and their muscles. you've seen some nice looking running backs back there. They take the weight room serious, you know. So when it comes down to being a championship football team and coach strategies and everything he has to do and wants to do, we always tell the people we want now. We want now. Everybody always saying, oh man, it takes time. You know, I can pull up incidents where a guy came in the first year and won 8 and 9 games, 10 games, 11 games, 12 games. And so, you know, with that being said, man, I took a little dive on my boy, Preston Hodges. You know,
Let's not go into stats
he's
here.
gonna be
Let's not.
coming.
I'm on a different wave currently.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
let's keep this wave going. Tim Smith, what's up? Dallas is in the building. How you doing today, man? Thank you for calling to the show.
Hey, I'm doing well, Harry, and to the rest of the panel, hello today.
So, Tim, I'm on this wave this morning because I feel like what we believe, what we know, and how we assess what is going on with college football, our knowledge of college football, it's different from how Coach Prime is processing what he wants to accomplish this year. So I'm
Correct.
on that wave this morning, and that's what the conversation is about. I
Well,
believe that. Go ahead. Let me jump in.
I was just gonna say when it comes to us as bandwagon fans, I feel like if you allow it, you'll have a head full of gray hair before the end of the 2024 season. If you allow it, Coach Prime has it, and I like the way you use vision boards earlier on in your assessment, because we want to take a peek at his vision board.
Mm.
His his overall goal, like other coaches in the NCAA, wants to win a national championship. His first season, he did exactly what he probably done that he set out for himself on his vision board was to win, which he won 4 games. Okay, coming into season 2, I hear a lot of people talking about the natty or national championship, and the whole time he said, I want to get Peggy to a bowl game. Step 2 of his vision board, he's putting the pieces in line to accomplish that. Uh, he has a vision for the team itself. Those players have a vision for themselves as well. The question of it is, do those visions line up together? I feel like the ones that left, that vision didn't line up with what Coach Prime vision, overall vision was for the team. Some of the guys that are coming in, I feel like their vision as far as hard work, as far as uh, preparing themselves and getting in the weight room and nutritionists and everything it takes to possibly get to a national championship. Their vision line is lining up with Coach Prime's, but we won't know that until the season starts. And when it came down to the championship game yesterday, I noticed that Washington got beat because of Michigan's coaching staff preparation for them.
So, Harry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I want folks to understand this is that always understand that your vision board is your haters and your enemies' target list. That is in life, that is on the field. Your vision board is your haters and your enemies' target list. So he's got to also make sure that, and I know he will, that they are understanding is that somebody's going to throw everything they can to stop you. And the mind of a champion, don't Coach Lauer will tell you the same thing, is that I'm getting my vision. You will not stop me. And when it starts, is right now what they're doing, what they're eating, what they're watching, if they're watching film, if they're looking at what they did last year, if they're looking back at their technique, how they stood, how they rocked, if they came out too far, if I'm a wide receiver, hey, you know what? I should have made sure when I made sure I was on the line, I also made sure I checked to see where that first line down is, all kind of different things. And really, it kind of goes exactly with what Tim was saying. It's like that it's the little bitty things. It's them little things that's going to win you them games. The little bitty things that's going to help you beat, that's going to help you to be able to beat teams that are equally matched or close. Remember we talked about like the peer and near peer? When you have peer teams, it's them little details sometimes that help you win. Gives you the advantage.
But I'm on a different wave today, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I keep pushing back to make sure that this wave is understood. When you've done all that you can, I gotta take the gospel music route. When you've done all that you can, all right. When you've done all that you can, you're supposed to stand. But the question is, what are you standing on, and who are you standing on? Because Mr. Carson, when you've done everything in the battle plan, when you've executed to the T, that other factor that we talked about, that other little thing, it's what I'm trying to get at today, because I want y'all to know what this conversation is about. This conversation is about Coach Prime's mindset. That's what I want to talk about today. Coach Prime's mindset is, I'm going to execute this to the T. And I think a lot of people always they miss the preparation part. They forget the fact that he's so prepared, and that's what he stands on, his preparation. But Coach Prime's mindset, it's a game changer's mindset. And I believe that's where he's at. And that's what's having him saying, I know that I can win. Because what I saw last night, it was not out of worldly. It was not impossibility. It was football. You see what I'm saying? I think Coach Prime sees football, and he's like, that's football to me, and I know how to play football. But there's going to be something else that carry him over that hump that everybody sees. That little thing that people are saying is not going to get over that hump, but he sees it differently. That's where I'm at with it right now. In Coach Prime's mind, in his brain, he sees something other than what we're seeing or what we're looking at. That's where the conversation is at.
Well, if you've done all that, I think what you look for is you hope that your training and that personal courage, that's Army values, and it has to do with that, but it applies to everything. Like there's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, personal courage. There's a whole lot of things, is the integrity, all that stuff. And what you're hoping is that's when you say dominate, you keep that in your mindset as your mission statement. So what you say is, when you've done everything that you can, you've set them up to success, is that they will at least believe, because that's also a trust thing, is that did my coach put me in the right position to win? And I think he will put them in the right position. So I agree. When you've done everything, it's going to come down to the fact of individual belief in themselves, and the belief in the team, and did they show up prepared?
Let me bring on MDJ again. Can you hear us? Please let me know.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, Brad, for a second there, I was like, we can't hear you. We can't. You were talking, you were going in, but I have no idea what you were saying. But what I just laid out again is trying to direct the conversation away from the little things that we keep talking about, that we keep trying to pull back on, preparation? Does he have the right DC? Does he have the right OC? Does he have all of these things? I don't question those things because I feel like Coach Promise, he's gonna knock that out the park. All right. He's doing what everything that we're saying that he needs to do. He's doing those things. But I want to bring the conversation back to Coach Prime's mindset, his brain, how he thinks. The missing factor that has him believing that he can win right now. That's where I want to bring the conversation back to. And I don't think we have enough conversations about that. That mindset. What is that mindset to you?
His mindset is he's prepared and he knows that he can do anything. And that's the way he's built that way. He has no doubt that what he wants to achieve, he's going to achieve. Now, is it going to be now, tomorrow, 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now? In his mind, he's going to achieve his goal, right? And that's the way he prepared himself when he played, and that's the way he prepares himself in his whole life. Everything he touches, he's going to make it do what it do, right? He's going to make it be the best. And everybody's not built that way. Some people have some doubt. He has no doubt in his mind that he's going to get to where he wants to be, right? And you can't teach that. You just got to be born with that, right? And how many people are born with that? Everybody has some doubt when they're doing something, they're trying to achieve a goal. The preparation is going to be there for him. It's that little X factor, like you said. He has no doubt. In his mind, he has no doubt. He has no fear of saying, hey, what if we don't do it? What if I don't get this? Or he doesn't do those don'ts. It's be prepared. You prepared. You're going to put your best on the field. We're going to win. If we lose, we lose. But he's not even thinking losing, right? He's thinking winning in every aspect.
So let me bring Tim into this. Tim.
Yes.
Why is it that we can't get with that? Why is it that it's hard for us to go along to? I mean, the fact that we know so much football, like every one of us, we got certain types of, like DC got this military leadership, and Coach Lowry's a coach, and he can tell you what that defense did last night. Why is it hard for us to really buy into what his mind frame is?
I'm gonna give my statement, but I want DC to grab it from me when I stop. But right now, the players at Colorado are in basic training. Deion Sanders have a mindset of dominate. He has the mindset of win every single game, every single snap. He's trying to get the players to buy into the same mentality that he has. And that's what's going to allow them to get over that hump.
All right, so DC, you want to grab that? He said he wanted you to grab that.
Well, it is. It's like we have a soldier's creed that goes like, I'm an American soldier, I'm a warrior, and a member of a team. I won't go out to the detail, but it is basically creating that unity mindset that we are all one cohesive unit, and we will step on the field and we will destroy you. And anything you throw at us, we are ready for you. We gonna rock and roll. And that's what he's at this point. But like basic training is, you're right, it's learning the basic stuff of being. So for example, they know that how to certain things. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, something was going on with your audio. Can you hear us? Can you hear me talking? All right, so DC, all right, can you hear us?
All right, I can hear you now. Do y'all have me loud and clear?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So he's getting in there and forming a team, but there's some basic stuff he's got to do. So Lopez got to make sure that their footing, how they operate, conditioning,
All of that kind of stuff we've talked about, MDJ talked about, all those things bringing in to say, this is because he's got to reestablish what does Colorado football mean? Not necessarily Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders set the standard, but he also sets the thing of what does it mean. So all those basic things he's got to do, and then they start getting into that advanced, they call it AIT if you leave basic, advanced individualized training. Then you get out there and then you begin to, I would say, what game day, what they're going to do. So that's kind of what he's doing right now. And that's a strength of Coach Prime.
What I'm hearing from you is not much of faith. It's more so strategic planning, strategic movement, which is more military based. I think, like, because of who Coach Prime is, I think he more so aligns with your style of thinking and how you prepare to either go into battle or to just approach life. But I want to bring you back, okay? And I'm going to keep doing that this conversation because obviously you cannot take the military out of DC, okay? You're not going to
Can
be
I
able to.
say something real quick, Harry? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But if you think about Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver, when they came in and they asked them why they wanted to come to CU, they said they wanted to get away from a losing program, which that losing program has seeped into their minds, which caused them to have a losing mindset.
Mm.
Deion Sanders is having to reprogram all these kids' mind because majority of them are not coming from a winning program.
So, Coach Mike, what are you showing us, brother?
You see what that shirt say? The University of South Florida.
Okay.
I wasn't even gonna come on. I wasn't even gonna come on the TV, but I want everybody to see. I like that, Tim. How you led into that segment. Yeah, they said they want to leave the University of South Florida because we was a losing program. That's my alumni. That's the first school I went to when I left Northern Iowa. When I lost my first scholarship up in Northern Iowa because I was flagging and wanted to hang out and break all the team rules and shit. Excuse my language. I owe you $20.
Man, you owe me a lot, brother.
I know, man.
Give me one.
Thank you for the mercy and the grace. Yeah, but they left University of South Florida and they now at Colorado, and one of them finna get drafted. And our coach came on national television. That's also my school too. I'm a bandwagoner, but I love South Florida because I got a daughter up there. She's in law school in Stetson. And
let me just make you one thing clear. I'm not a bandwagoner. Just so I gotta say this publicly because I got something I'm working on. I am not a bandwagoner because that's a name that it was established after I established Bandwagon Buffs. That's a name that was established by another guy trying to copycat my idea of a bandwagon buff.
I'm sorry, sir.
When you say bandwagoner, that can impede on the legal thing that I'm doing. So I just want to make it clear on this here show. I am not a bandwagoner. I'm a bandwagon buff. That's just legally. I have to put that statement out there just so everybody understands that. So,
well, you know what? I hate them kind of people because somebody bought my company from me a long time ago and tried to make me buy my company back for $15,000 because I ain't do what I was supposed to do. But it's all good, man. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something about how you talk about Coach Prime, man. Coach Prime is the real deal, man. He's the real deal, and I'm very critical of him because I know how certain things go down and how he would handle the situations because the people that he's been around and the people that I'm still around, like his homeboy, his favorite homeboy out of all homeboys, and I've been trying to get him to write his book, but he won't even go up to goddamn Colorado. You know what I mean? Like, because he know what's really going on, and for things to take place, you gotta let a man do what he gotta do. You know what I'm talking about? Like he carrying the torch for all the community. You feel me? And so whatever he do, we gonna certify that, and we gonna stand that, and we gonna be behind that. But at the same time, we gonna check him. You know what I'm saying? We gonna check him in the right manner. We ain't gonna check him in a harsh manner. You know what I mean? He understand what the deal is. I'm one that my homeboy's been telling me for a long time. Man, I need to get out there, and I'm finna get out there. You know what I'm saying? I've been around for a long time, but when I give my takes, I'm gonna do my research, like DC say. I want to know my opponent. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get my man. You know what I mean? That's what it is and what it is when you get on the field. You don't go out there with that pump faking and acting like you don't know what your assignments is, because you know that the team is together. It's 11 all y'all doing out there on the field. You got to give it your all. You can't miss an assignment because you think your homeboy gonna make up the assignment. You got to be on point, and that's
So
what.
with that being said, with what you're saying, I want to bring it back to this. Why is it hard for some of us to understand the preparation? Why is it that a lot of us don't talk about the preparation aspect of Coach Prime, and it's almost like he can be ready for any situation. The situations that he's in, are gonna overwhelm him. And have anybody on this panel ever been aware of Coach Prime ever being overwhelmed? And let me bring in Ron Tate to maybe take this first question. Ron Tate, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
We
Hey,
don't we
listen.
often don't well, let me bring you in easy. Let me bring you in easy. We often don't speak enough about Coach Prime's preparation, the thing that really rocks him, the things that move him, the things that wakes him up in the morning. We don't put too much emphasis on that, and it often let us think that he could be overwhelmed in situations. Why do we think that? And have you ever seen Coach Prime ever being overwhelmed?
Since Coach Prime entered the NFL, when he left Florida State, it was an assumption that he was a party animal. It was an assumption when he was in the NFL and he created Prime Time, where Prime Time blew up. It was an assumption that he was a party animal, a party animal. But what I've learned over the years dealing with Coach Prime is that he prepares. He has a plan in mind, but he prepares first. Before he tries to implement his plan, he prepares for the plan. And that is the same philosophy that he used at Jackson State. And it's the same philosophy that he's using at CU. He prepared for his plan before he even began to implement his plan. So in his preparation, that's why he said there's nothing that happens or that comes at him that he has not already thought about or that he's not prepared for. Nothing. So I believe that Coach
Yes,
Prime.
because they victory in the Amazon Prime show, they got him telling the other coaches they finna take a big shot, and they took a big shot and scored on them. That's how sometimes you can be so great as a coach and you can't get that player to do what you need him to do on the field. That happens a lot in coaching, because you
Well,
play the game a certain way.
the issue
Let him finish his thought, and then Coach, you can get it.
The issue with Coach Prime is the last part is it's a 3-part: prepare for a plan, and then he believes in his plan because of his preparation. And others, when he was saying that on the sideline, saying they're going to take a shot, they're thinking that he's making an assumption, but that comment was based on his knowledge and understanding of the game and where the team was at that moment. And being somewhat, a coach has to be able to predict and the various things that are going to happen, not only within his team, but things that come at his team. all those things, will they happen or not? Maybe not. But he's prepared to deal with those things. And I think the last thing that the individuals have to deal with to help them to latch on to Coach Prime's plan is the belief, the unwavering belief. That's the next step that his plan has to incorporate, or the individuals dealing with, or a part of his plan have to get on board with the
And that,
belief.
and that's what I want to talk. That's what this conversation is about. Is how do we believe like Coach Prime? How do we get to the point where whatever's in his mind and the way that he moves mentally, all right, not like preparation, because I don't know anybody that prepares like him, but the way that he moves mentally, how do we even get on that place? How do we get to that place for us
Kyrie,
as fans to start believing like him, like the way
the
that he wants?
only thing we can do is trust. You have to believe and trust and believe. Either way you want to put it, that's the next step. We have to trust that he's prepared us. We have to trust that his plan is successful. And if I believe him, then I have to trust him that he's going to put us in a position that's going to be successful.
So DC, let me ask you a question, because you're always on the line of preparation and military style movement. When does your knowledge impede the ability to trust?
First, I want to say, MDJ, folks are loving your hoodie. So you got some people that's liking it. But
Thank
Aaron,
you, bro.
you're saying that the when does trust impede? Say that again one more time.
Okay, so I'll say it like this: when does your knowledge? Okay, I'll give you an example, and then I'll let you have it. When you're raised in the village, when you're raised in a place where there's extreme poverty, you learn other skills. You learn skills, and maybe mommy or daddy may not be able to afford for you to go to school. So you will learn, they'll teach you other things. They will teach you a lot about people. They will teach you about how you treat other people and how you move in the village and how you gain trust, how you gain how to be loved in the village. You go to school, you come back, and you realize what you were lacking in that village. It starts to impede on some of the things that you were taught when you were in the village. It starts to mess with your mentality of how the village moved or how you were taught to live in that village. You start thinking that you know a little bit more. You start moving a little differently, and sometimes you may use your knowledge to try to supersede some of the things that you've learned in the village on how to treat people. So at which point does your knowledge impede on your level of trust?
Well, that's when you believe that you.
Does
Can
that
I
make
give
sense
you a
though?
story?
Sometimes that happens when you believe that you arrived at a place you're not quite there. You kind of go back into, you know, the whole business thing. There's a scripture that talks about when I was spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, became a man. I put away those childish things, and that you kind of develop. So I think sometimes you have to realize. I think the key thing is knowing what you don't know, and what that means by that is that, let's say, for example, um, if I'm in Montana, like I know how to survive a southern winter, but in my Montana, I have to realize I don't know how to do that. So then I've got to get people in that will teach me how to do it. I think that comes over life is that Coach Prime has realized something. Hey, I don't know about this, so make me smart. I think they had that discussion even where it's like when you looked at Coach Saban. Coach Saban generally went in and got defensive coordinators that may or may not have had as much experience. But then when it came to offensive coordinators, he went and got people who knew it way better than he did. So he got the Lane Kiffins and the Steve Sarkeesians. He got people because he knew that was an area where he had a basic, a pretty decent understanding, but not in the depth that he needed to be able to win. Does that answer your question?
I'm not sure. Because the question was, you have the knowledge, right?
Okay.
But trust is something that is like, trust is something you gotta have. You gotta just be able to trust something, right? But because you have the knowledge, you start thinking, well, dang, how can I trust this, or how can I trust that? And let me see. Let Coach Lowry, you said you had a story you wanted to tell us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We got a few more minutes in
Oh,
the show.
so
So try
okay,
to keep it short if
all
you
right.
can, please.
Okay. So in the basketball program I coach in, we got to draft players, right? And so my director tell me I'm one of the best coaches in the program, but I don't have that faith like I want to. You talk about how we need to get over that hump. And so, but I didn't know he said that about me, what I was going to tell you. And so we got beat the first game of the season. I had like 8 to 10-year-old kids. We got beat the first game of the season, 19-0. And I went home and had a emotional time with that because I didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? We talk about how the spirituality and anointing and all these things take place, and how we can never get over that hump. How do we think these type of ways of ourselves? So and my spirit came to me and told me, go back to basic things. Teach the kids the basics. And when they learn the basics, then you show them the next step of the game. And so, needless to say, we got in the championship game after we got beat 19-0. We made it in the first round because we had a better record. We like was 5-3, and we got all the way to the championship game, the fourth game, and we lost in the last seconds of the game with a buzzer beater shot by a 9-year-old player from half court. The game was so packed and it was so emotional, but just to tell you that you have to believe in your craft. You have to believe in who you are as a person. You can't let no one tell you that you're not prepared. You can't never let no one put you down and tell you're not qualified. You got to have this confidence that is aroma of your smell that is so cocky that people are offended when you come in the room. You can't allow people to assassinate your character. You got to stand on what you stand on and believe in what you believe in because you know you've been chosen for greatness.
All right.
I got
I'm
one.
glad
I
that
got one quick.
I'm glad that you said that, and I'll give you the mic, MD. Give me a second. I'm glad that you said that. So I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to have their final statement because the show is done. But I think that is the whole point of all of this. Because if we say don't let nobody tell you otherwise, then what that means is, I don't know who said trust, but I think that's what it boils down to. I think if you say you love Coach Prime, if you say that you are a fan of Coach Prime, then I would say trust Coach Prime. Because if somebody has the fortitude or they have the ability to just say, I see something that you don't see, and a lot of us do this, the next time our friend tell us to see something, instead of us trying to give them data, instead of us trying to give them overly advise them and give them all of the knowledge about this and that, if they say they see it, it may be something spiritual. It may be that we don't see it. So I think at that point, you got to get out of the way. Either be a friend or don't be a friend. I think that's what it boils down to. We got to find a way to get out of the way. Because sometimes you don't see spiritual things that somebody else is seeing unless God is showing you at the same time. So maybe we need to understand that when our friend tells us something, if MDJ wants to start a clothing line and he's like, yo, I got this vision, maybe we don't see it, the vision, the way he sees it and how he arrives at that hoodie. So instead of us trying to advise him or start to say, man, how you going to find blank hoodies and blah, 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 maybe we'll be like, all right, Yo, that's what's up. Man, I wish you well, and I really want you to win. So anything you need from me, just let me know. I don't see it, but just let me know. Whatever you need, I'm here with you. So that way, we don't discourage the vision, and we don't step on the vision or cause him to not even believe in himself, because the crowd is big. So sometimes it's hard when you put it out there, and your own people don't believe you. So it is after 2:00. I'm gonna give everybody the mic, and now I want to say I apologize to everybody that emailed me that could not come onto the panel, but I try to make sure that the conversation goes in a certain direction. I didn't want to bring on too many people to step on the conversation. But based on what I just said about trust, based on what I try to do with this was today's show, Coach Prime's mindset. DC, I'll give you your last words. I'll give you your last comments for the show today.
Real quick, I want to first say is that I get where Ron Tate is coming from now. He has looked into the eyes of Coach Prime and has seen what a championship looks like. And it just could be on the eyes of TV. And he believes that he's going to be a winner. So I get where Ron is coming from. 100%. Am I correct with that, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I get it. So now,
Yes, sir.
all right. So things, Harry, just real quick. When I was learning to fly, and we don't fly by when the sky is clear and all that kind of stuff, but when it's cloudy, you have to fly by.
Your audio's a little choppy.
Okay. Say that there's can you hear me now?
It's the same. It's the same. It's like you're speaking through like a tunnel.
All right. How about
Right,
here?
right there, a little better right there.
Okay. So what they tell you is that when you're flying in like clouds or way up where you can't really see, is to trust your instruments. Your body will lie to you, but you have to trust your instruments that you are flying straight and level, that it will get you to where you need to be. And I get what you're saying now is that's where Coach Prime, that's where people in life, I'm about to go to Planet Fitness. At the beginning of the year was a whole lot of people in there. It's not going to be there right now. Why? Because they weren't trusting the process. They weren't trusting their instruments necessarily to, hey, I'm going to achieve this if I keep doing it. So that's what I would say is that if you see him doing stuff and say, okay, I see he's flying straight and level, it might be where there's a little turbulence, but let's just trust that he's going to fly through that and get to where he's going. I'm done.
All right, Coach Mike, you got the microphone. Your final thoughts on today's show. We got to a place where I feel like the spirit is moving in that vein.
Yeah, I'm so proud to be a bandwagon buff. I'm trying to get the other word out of my terminology. So, and I love the panel. I love everything that is attached to Coach Prime. It's anointing. It's joyful. It's wonderful. It's exhilarating. It's benevolent. It's lucrative. It's therapy. It's social. And it just engulfs me and it inspires me to be the man that I was chosen to be. And I can't help but to be so elated and ecstatic about the preparation and the recruiting and the developing and just us learning how to gel and come together and unify with respect and dignity. This guy's ahead of the game and he's showing us the green light and showing us the gold streets and giving us a model figure of how to conduct yourself. He's cocky on one hand, but humble in the same time. He's respectful on one hand, but he'll crack jokes with you. That's all I got.
Yeah, you dropping some gems right there, Coach Lowry. You dropping some gems right there, Tim. Tim, man, go ahead, man. We finalized it with trust, and we arrived at that moment, and that was I felt like that was where we needed to hear today to encapsulate this conversation.
Yeah, I just appreciate your topics, man. I mean, it really helps me, um, pretty sure as others, to really dive really deeper and think outside of the box.
Yeah.
But I trust Coach Brown's vision, man. I'm just eager to see how that's gonna play out in 2024, and that's it.
I am DJ Original with the bad hoodie. Brother, I hope you know you're gonna be dropping the link before you get this show off the before you leave this show. Make sure you drop your link so people who want that hoodie or at least have to contact you. Make sure
Yes,
to
sir.
drop your link in the comment or the chat. I'll make sure I give you
Yes.
time to do that. But go ahead with your last words or your final thoughts for this show. We came
Okay. Yeah.
we came to the conclusion of trust. We gotta trust Coach Prime, and
I
whether
trust.
we whether we see it or not, it's just a matter of trust.
So the thing people are not getting and hearing from him is that what he always say: practice, practice. Your game is practice. The game day is just you going through the motion. It's the fun time. So
Mm,
repetition of practice breeds trust. Trust
mm,
breeds belief, right? So you know if all your teammates on the field practice well, do be where they're supposed to be, know their assignments. You don't have to believe or know like, oh, he's not going to be where he's supposed to be. You know the players who are not going to be where they're supposed to be, and you got another player got to make up for them. So that's the whole thing. Prime preaches: practice, watch film, prepare, repetition. Repetition of practice breeds that trust, and then that trust breeds belief. And that's his whole thing. And people forget that. He played his hardest at practice. He tell you that. He didn't wait to in light practice when he played in the NFL or anything. Light day was a game day. That was, you going through the motions now. You believe you already know you can do it. You know you where you're supposed to be. So that's the whole thing with the trust, I think, is that practice, repetition of practice, and being prepared breeds trust. Trust breeds belief.
mm. And where can people find your stuff, man?
Well, I'm officially licensed with the University of Colorado for I do the Letterman jackets. These hoodies, they drop them for the alumni first, so they should be available after January 15th. You can get the football one. They got the basketball chip one, and the golf chip one. My website is mdjoriginal.com.
Can you
So
type that into the comments?
yes, sir, I sure can.
Yeah,
Um,
drop that into the comments so that people can just easily click on it.
I will do.
All right,
Hey
I
cool.
will
Harry,
do.
real quick, you got merch out?
You talking about MDJ or me?
You.
Oh yeah, bandwagonbuff.com. Bandwagonbuffs.com.
All right, got it.
You
Yeah,
got to get there.
bandwagonbuffs.com. Ron Tate, man, you got the final mic. You get the we arrived at one word that
Yes.
encapsulated the whole thing. Trust. Trust,
Trust. Yes.
yeah. So
You know,
how do we trust?
and I'm listening to everyone's comments. You know, the disappointments, the failures, and the difficulties of our life. You know, that's what stands in our way. If we can not continuously look back, but to look forward, and that will give us an opportunity to trust. And Harry, I'll tell you a story that happened over 40 years ago to a young man from a HBCU that went to an NFL tryout, and 1,100, there were over 2,000 individuals from Division I schools at this one tryout, and that NFL team signed 2 players out of almost 2,000 players. No one knew this young man, but he trusted in his ability, and he believed that no matter what was coming his way, that he could overcome it. And he signed a contract. He was one of 2 players that signed a contract with that NFL team. And you know, that's the greatest. If you believe in yourself, if you prepare and you have a plan and you believe, then you can trust that plan to be successful. Trust is an enormous thing, and belief is just as big. Thank you all. I appreciate everything that the panel has presented today, and Harry B, we appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to 2024 no-fly zone. I'm looking forward to it.
Yo, we are going to continue to talk about the nitty-gritty because, like everybody's saying, Coach Prime prepares, and within his preparation, he can trust. And then from that trust, you start believing. Once you believe, it's a wrap, right? Once you believe and you can crystallize that in your head, and can't nobody stop you. That's what today's show is about. Today's show is about that. I want us to calm down with trying to predict and give too many instructions to Coach Prime to say, oh, this can't happen because you don't got this, because you don't got this, and you don't got that. I don't know that when your friend tells you, hey, man, I see a vision, oh, I see this happening, I don't know that you should start doing that. I don't know that this is about us now. If you have a cousin, a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, or somebody that's sharing information with you, or you're sharing information with them, when that happens, make sure that you're not a firefighter. Make sure that you are not a firefighter. Because if you become a firefighter, you can put out that person's fire by trying to overly analyze what they're merely believing. That's all it is. It's a mere belief. And sometimes they may be coming to you because it's an idea that they want to believe, but they're coming to you so that you can help them to believe. And you might be that person to cause them not to fully believe because you're overly analyzing a vision that they have. We all understand what I'm talking about? All right, guys. So y'all have a wonderful day. I will see you guys on the next show. I will see y'all tomorrow on the next show. God bless and peace out.
Thanks, Harry.
All right, man. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Please take down the email, guys. Remember that is hot tips for TLP. I mean, no, not hot tips, but it's jointlplive@gmail.com. Sorry for those who could not get on the show today. We are 2 hours now. I try to cut the conversation short so that we can get to other topics. We couldn't get to everything today, but that'll be on tomorrow's show. But the final thing is we got to trust. And I'm going to continue to trust that Coach Prime wants to win and he believes something, and I want to believe with him. And if he accomplishes the thing that he's believing, I think he can shock the world and maybe shock me too, because I'm not there yet. I'm not to the point where he believes. So, but I think I believe what he believes, that he believes it. So that's enough for me. And hopefully he does what he's trying to do or get as close as he wants to get. Because then that's going to help me to start believing certain things too that I want to believe in my life. Because I don't have that many examples. You may have a lot of examples, but I don't have that many examples in my life of the impossible. So if he accomplishes what he's trying to do, that'll help me believe a lot of things that I need to believe too. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If he wants to go to the Natty, if he wants to win a Natty, if he believes it, then I believe and I would trust what he believes. And I would try to help that. So we'll talk more football to see how that's going to happen. All right? All right, guys, you know who I am. I'm Harry B. This right here is TLP Sports. What channel am I? All right? TLP Sports Club. Tongue twister. Good night, guys. Oh, well, good day, guys. Y'all have a blessed day.